We also have a Monday Night Football matchup on September 13th between the Ravens and the Raiders. And to talk about that one, we're going to bring in our very own resident Raiders fan, Jason Fitz, to join us. And Fitzy, I saw you retweet ESPN PR about this specific game. You're very excited about it. It's going to be televised on ESPN and ABC. So I got to ask you about the whole season. How excited are you?
Well, I'm excited about the whole season, but guys, you got to realize that this is a Raiders team that left Oakland to go to Vegas. Now, I grew up an LA Raiders fan that became an Oakland Raiders fan, and I'm from Vegas. So all my worlds collided here. And the original home opener was supposed to be last year, Monday Night Football against the Saints. First time they were ever going to have people in the stands. And I'm thinking Monday Night Football, I'm going to have access to this game. Well, then last year was what it was. There were never fans in the stands. So flash forward to this year, finding out that we're opening the season with the game on ESPN. It's a sign from God that I'm going to get to go to this thing and be at the first ever game in Allegiant Stadium with fans in the stands. I am beyond pumped for it.
Now, we understand that this matchup is one thing, but when it comes to the idea of the Raiders and it being their year, as you have proclaimed it to be, Gruden ain't had a playoff team yet. What makes this year different, Fitz?
Nothing, but I got to have hope. Here's the thing. The Raiders are squarely behind teams like the Chiefs, teams like the Ravens. They're going to have to get some wins that they wouldn't normally get to get into the playoffs. This game is one of them. I think it's a tone setter. But when you look at this team particularly, they blew up the offensive line, which has been a curious decision. But realistically, go back and watch last year. And I keep saying this, also watch Kevin Stefanski and the Browns. I think he gave you the blueprint that we're going to see for the Raiders this year. With the addition of Kenyon Drake, the Raiders are going to try and run the ball more effectively. And they did that throughout the course of the year when they were 6-3 last year. They fell apart running the football, which turned out to be sort of the end of their season because their defense was particularly bad. I don't know that the defense has been fixed, but I do know that John Gruden is going to be committed to running the football like the Browns did. So I think we're going to see a lot more ball control from this Raiders offense. They're going to try and get a big step out of these wide receivers. I think the Raiders are going to be a team that's on the fringe of trying to get into the wild card. But, hey, after all these years of bad teams, I'll take that.
So if they're trying to fix things, they tried to address a couple needs within the draft. They may not have done it in the order that most people thought they could have and should have. But, okay, with that being said, your thoughts on the draft as a whole from Gruden and Mayock?
I think the draft as a whole, let's take Leatherwood and the place he was drafted out of the conversation for a second. It's a really solid draft. And, you guys know this. Trevor, you know this. You were dealing with me all day, day 3 of the draft. But I was sitting with some, I think, great minds across our NFL landscape. And, one of them, Jim Nagy, that runs the Senior Bowl, the number of times he was saying, man, you guys got a player there. So I think in later rounds, they got guys that are going to be able to contribute. And Treavor Merrick, who I thought they were going to get in the first round, turns out who they got in the second round. He's a day one starter. So this is a defense that's going to look much different. And also, I think we really undersold the addition of Yannick Ngakoue, somebody that, while he has bounced from team to team, has had tremendous success. So this Raiders team is going to be a little bit more aggressive. I think the biggest question mark they're going to have is how do you adjust to a new scheme? They have a new defensive coordinator in Gus Bradley that runs a cover 3 zone concept. They've been running man-to-man. That's what they drafted for. So how these defensive players, particularly the corners, adapt to going to a different scheme is going to be really interesting to me.
Fitz, all that being said, I'm going to need you to remove the Raiders hat that you have sewn squarely on your head and shoot the people straight. How many yards is Lamar Jackson going to torch that bottom third defense for on opening night in prime time? And I say that with the utmost love because you mentioned it. They were bottom third in terms of rush defense and pass defense, and Lamar Jackson obviously is the player that he is on prime time. What's he going to do to him?
Let's talk about the Patriots, Gary. Or let's talk about the Red Sox.
Don't deflect.
We're going to hurt each other, Gary. That's what we're doing tonight. You make a great point. Look, the Raiders, the only hope that the Raiders are going to have early in the season, to be real, is that they had a top 10 scoring offense last year. They're going to have to win in shootout fashion, or to the point that I made earlier, Gruden, and this is sort of an under-talked about portion of Gruden, he likes to win time of possession and really likes to marginalize how many possessions the other team will get. So the Raiders are happy to have a 15-play drive that takes half the clock off of a quarter, and that's because they're trying to keep the ball out of the other team's hands. Will they be able to do that against Lamar Jackson? I don't think so. Obviously, we know Lamar's going to get his. The question is, will the Ravens defense be able to stop the Raiders offense? I think the answer is yes. This isn't a dream matchup for me coming out of the gates because I still think the Ravens are an incredibly good team. They're a better team than the Raiders, and they're going to come into this game, I would bet, easily a touchdown favorite, rightfully so. That's going to be the real challenge. The only thing I can hope is that early in the year, everybody's trying to get their footing, and maybe that helps the Raiders surprise the Ravens with some looks that nobody will have seen coming into the season.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.